I'm John.
And I'm Josh.
And we are up to talking about Week 11 results from the 2024 college football season. And there were a couple upsets this week.
There definitely were, yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and start off with a couple of those upsets. The first one was number 3 Georgia went into number 16 Ole Miss and didn't win.
No. Not a lot to say about this one. I mean, Ole Miss kind of seemed like they were in control the whole game.
They did.
Carson Beck, again, in every single one of Georgia's losses. Well, in the second half against Alabama, he looked pretty great. But this one, pretty much all game.
Yeah.
Just completely shut down by Ole Miss. Jackson Dart.
Throwing those interceptions.
Yeah. Jackson Dart was hurt on the first drive of the game, came back and played fairly well for the rest of the game. I would say Ole Miss's defense definitely won them the game.
Yeah.
But man, does this put the SEC in more of a mess or what?
Yep. It makes it pretty much of a mess. ACC mess was that number 4 Miami went to Georgia Tech and lost that one. So Cam Ward, I mean, he had a good game, 348 yards, 3 touchdowns.
A lot of it came late.
It did.
I think less than 120 yards in the first half or so, and then kind of picked it up towards the end. Almost brought them back.
Yeah, but not.
Dude, so, Georgia Tech is interesting, right?
They are.
I don't necessarily think... I think Georgia Tech is a good team. I think they're above average, so... if first loss for Miami doesn't count, don't count them out just yet.
Yeah, that's right. Then you had number 11 Alabama. They went to number 15 LSU down in the Bayou, and they won handily, even better than the score actually shows. Milroe he played a great game. Like you said, you mentioned a lot of it was his running. The passing was not bad. And Alabama's defense really just shut LSU down. Yeah,
defensively, I think Alabama was very impressive. Offensively, I'm more unimpressed with LSU. And that's because even against Texas A&M, right? Second half, they put in the new quarterback, runs up the middle almost every single play. Like, at what point is LSU the problem?
Yeah.
If you can't... I mean, Milroe could do no wrong with his legs.
Yeah.
Put a spy on him. Put 2 spies on him. At that point, just make him throw down the field. Do anything besides what you were doing. Awful coaching by LSU. I can't express just how poor their coaching job is, especially defensively. Abysmal.
Yeah. The crowd left somewhere in the third quarter, so
I turned it off somewhere in the third quarter.
All right, then Florida was at number 5 Texas, and Texas just they showed their dominance. It was 35-0 at halftime, so Texas just took that game. Ewers did a really good job as well.
This was a good win for Texas.
It is.
It is. Florida's not great this year by any means, but I still think this could have been like a sneaky game for them. Not even close. 49-17.
Yeah. Then number 23 Clemson was at Virginia Tech. And won that one. I mean, it was 24-14, so it wasn't a monstrous win.
Virginia Tech had some chances.
They did.
They really did have some chances to pull away. Just couldn't finish the job, right? They the second Clemson kind of got that, what was it, 3-point or 7-point lead, I think. You just kind of felt like it was over already. Yeah,
for sure.
It's tough.
Yeah, and then Michigan was at number 8 Indiana. And actually gave Indiana a bit of a tough time. I mean, it was only 2015. Indiana did win it. So Indiana continues to roll there.
This was the worst Indiana's offense has done.
Yeah.
When you're talking about one of the top 3 offenses in the country,
that's right.
20-15 isn't that great. But man, Indiana, what a story.
I know. We'll see how that story keeps going.
Yeah.
Number 17 Iowa State was at Kansas. And they weren't able to pull that one off, so Kansas pulls off the upset here, 45-36. And I mean,
Kansas has been in some really close games this year. I know they're 3-6, but I would argue they're probably better than their record shows. Definitely a sneaky team for anybody who plays against them.
Yeah. South Carolina was at Vandy, and they didn't let Vandy sneak up on them.
This was kind of expected.
Yeah.
South Carolina has been kind of heating up here a little bit. And Vandy, unfortunately for them, has kind of lost some of the surprise factor that they had early on in the season.
Yeah.
So I by no means think Vandy is a bad team, but I think the surprise factor helped them a lot early on with their success. So
Yeah, 28-7. So they got beat pretty bad there. Number 20, Colorado was at Texas Tech, and Colorado won this handily, 41-27.
This is another game where Texas Tech was kind of in it for a little bit, had their chances, and the better team finds the way to actually finish those, right?
Yeah.
So Colorado kind of sneakily staying up here, close to the top of the Big 12.
Yeah.
Can Coach Prime kind of potentially make a playoff run here at the end? That would be quite the story.
That would be an interesting story. Then number 9, BYU was at Utah. Woo! This one ended 22-21, and BYU needed 3 field goals in the fourth quarter, including a last-second clock, ticking off field goal in order to win it.
Yeah, possibly some of the worst officiating I've ever seen. It goes into, if you're looking at football conspiracies, like, are the Big 12 officials trying to keep their precious undefeated BYU so that they make it to high ranked in the playoffs? I don't know, but in the end, Utah didn't score any points in the second half, right?
Yeah.
So as much as the rest might have helped BYU to win this game, sorry, Utah, you gotta score something in the second half.
That's absolutely. Group of 5, just have a couple games to talk about with that one. First was Nevada was at number 12, Boise State, and Boise State won it. Not as soundly, probably, as Boise State fans would like. It was 28-21.
Yeah, so this is what Nevada's, I think, 5th loss. So they're 3-6, and I think 5 of their 6 losses have been by less than 1 score.
Yeah.
That's tough. Also, just the drama coming into this game for Boise, Nevada. Kind of a rivalry game already. Nevada's ruined some of Boise's best seasons, including when they were undefeated with Kellen Moore, and a stunning game that still haunts me to this day. But Nevada's coach, Choate, was one of the top candidates for Boise State's job. He also used to coach for Boise State, loves the Boise State program. There's just a lot of drama going on there as well, since Boise ended up selecting Spencer Danielson over him. I believe he didn't shake hands with Danielson at the end of the game. So there's just like a lot of clear tension going on there, a couple almost fights as well throughout the game. But Jeanty, phenomenal this game. He really killed it. 6+ yards average, 200+ yards total. What was it? Yeah, 3 touchdowns. He did exactly what he needed to do. And Matston, he kind of as bad as probably the worst I've seen him this season. Not much positive to say about him.
It's funny because some of the games you'll have the positive to say about him, but sometimes just not.
Yeah, at least we have Jeanty.
Yeah, that's right. Number 25, Army was at North Texas, and they didn't blow North Texas out. It was 14-3, but they did win it, and so they continue to have that winning record.
This was interesting to me because North Texas was statistically the best offense that Army was facing up to this point. Shut them down, 3 points. That's impressive.
Yeah, it is actually impressive. So we didn't have any upset picks this past week. What we're going to do is we're going to talk real quick about college football playoff rankings. They're going to be coming out Wednesday of this week, so in a couple days. And we're just going to say what we think might be what we might expect. Oregon probably very likely going to come out number 1 on that one. No reason not to. Texas maybe number 2.
Right. They're still technically leading. Well, no, they're not technically leading the SEC.
Yeah.
They seem to have the best chance of winning the SEC as of right now.
Texas A&M still in that picture. So is Tennessee. So but likely it would be Texas. BYU maybe for the next one.
Yeah. So you're looking at Big 12 champion BYU, who's currently the higher ranked between them and the ACC. You're also looking at Colorado potentially if they were to kind of sneak their way in here. If they were to beat BYU in the conference championship, that would launch them to that 3 or 4 spot potentially. Yeah.
And then as far as the ACC, you have Miami, who just lost 1. So, but they have the potential over Clemson. SMU maybe in
You
there.
could argue SMU if you aren't just looking at projections and just like right here, right now, that SMU is number 1. But the ACC is definitely still wide open. Fun
It
little
is.
tidbit before we move to the rest of the teams. BYU and Miami, realistically, there's only going to be one ACC team and one Big 12 team
Yeah.
in the playoffs,
Yeah.
right? Because as you're about to see, the SEC and the Big 10 are about to dominate the rest of these
Yeah.
positions. Yeah.
Yeah. And that, which, speaking of which, so you have Ohio State,
Deserved.
potentially they're number 5.
Yeah.
Tennessee, depending on how things go, they could be next in 6.
This projection is assuming Tennessee beats Georgia.
It is assuming that, big assumption. Then you have Penn State, they're still there in the mix as well. Indiana, they continue to win out. They could potentially be higher than that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Notre Dame has also continued to play really well, so they should have an opportunity there.
Notre Dame arguably is the most likely out of all these.
Yeah.
Besides maybe like Oregon right now, just because their strength of schedule here at the end of the season is bare to none.
Yeah,
So.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And then Bama, after the strong win, they probably move up to number 10. Georgia is probably going to be dropping down, maybe 11 potentially.
Yeah.
And then Boise State still in there at 12.
And so remember, also another thing to note, if BYU, Colorado, or Miami and the ACC were to kind of get in a little bit of a mess here with the remaining games, Boise could sneak their way into that 3 or 4 spot.
They could. That's right.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
remember, it's the top 5 conference champions, but the top 4 conference champions, in no particular order, it doesn't matter what conference, get those buys.
That's right. That's right. All right, so real quick, we're going to look at Week 12, what we're expecting. It's going to be sort of short.
Yeah.
But what we're looking at, Tennessee is, and we don't have the rankings, so
Playoff rankings.
that's right, playoff rankings. So Tennessee is going to be at Georgia, big game.
So Nico went out early in the Tennessee game,
Yeah.
but all the reports are showing that he'll be back in the game. And then Tennessee's biggest weapon is going to be Carson Beck, who's on Georgia. So all
That's
Tennessee
right.
needs to do is have Carson Beck play his.
Throw
If he plays,
Throw
if
more
Carson Beck
interceptions.
plays anything like he did last week,
Yeah.
Tennessee wins this.
Yeah. Oregon, they should still be number 1. They're going to be at
Yeah.
5-4. Wisconsin, see no reason why they wouldn't win that game. Probably pretty strongly. Yeah.
Oregon rolls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you have 9-1 Mercer. They're going to be at Alabama.
This will be a probably relatively high top 10 ranked Alabama, if I had to
That's
guess,
right.
based off of their performance against LSU.
Yeah.
Mercer won AA, right? FCS, I should say. Only lost to my Sanford Bulldogs, so go Dogs.
Yeah, Alabama's
doesn't-
got to be careful with
Do they,
it.
though?
I think they've got to be careful. I mean, it would be so easy to have one of those mindsets.
I don't
going
know
into
how
this,
you
and-
motivate a team
Yeah.
in a scenario like this. So
You could say they're 9-1, so don't mess around. Don't do something stupid.
Yeah.
Then,
Alabama wins.
Yeah. Then Clemson, they're going to be at Pitt, who's 7-2.
both the Pitt's losses are in the ACC.
Yeah, yeah.
Only one of Clemson's losses are in the ACC.
This one could go either way.
This
Clemson
is-
probably playing a little bit better, but
Well, no.
no, I know.
I mean, let's see. Pitt's most recent loss was to SMU.
Yeah.
Clemson's was to Louisville. I'd rather lose to SMU than Louisville.
True. Yes.
I think Clemson has more to play for since they only have one conference loss. If
Yeah.
they beat Pittsburgh, they do help solidify themselves up there as that number 2 team in the ACC, which they need to do because they could easily get shoved out by Miami and SMU.
Yeah. Yeah. Then you got Missouri. They're going to be at South Carolina.
This is a ranked Missouri in our last playoff rankings.
That's right.
But I believe South Carolina's favored by like 12
Yeah,
points.
yeah.
So
South Carolina's playing some of their best ball right
I
now.
think South Carolina wins.
I think they probably win that one as
Yeah.
well. Group of 5. What do we got? We've got Boise State. They're going to be at 6-3 San Jose State.
Yeah, I think this is a tough game for sure, especially coming off of that Nevada game. I actually think being close against Nevada will probably help Spencer Danielson motivate this team, make
Yeah.
sure that they're on that right path. I do think Boise State comes in and handles San Jose State pretty well.
Okay. Army's got a bye week, and then they're going to face Notre Dame.
And Army was the only other Group of 5 team currently ranked in the college football playoffs.
That's right.
So
Yeah, so that's a huge one for them. Don't expect good things from that one. We'll talk about that later. But then you have 8-2 Tulane. They're going to be at Navy.
who's all 7-2?
That's right.
I think Tulane has shown more against good teams. Remember, Navy played Notre Dame and got destroyed.
They did.
Tulane played Oklahoma and Kansas State early on in the season. Kind of competed well against both of them, so
Yeah.
I expect Tulane to win this one.
Okay. San Diego State's going to be at UNLV. What do you expect here?
I think UNLV keeps rolling, man.
Okay.
I really do. I think by the end of the season they'll probably be ranked. And remember, for them, Colorado State, who's 6-3, is actually second in the Mountain West right now because they don't have any conference losses. So UNLV is really just preying on Colorado State's downfall at this point. Kind of, I just think things are out of their own control, which is a tough position to be in for sure.
Absolutely. Okay, got a couple upsets this week, right?
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Not feeling super confident about either of these,
Okay,
but
yeah.
we got Boston College at SMU. SMU probably looking at anywhere in that top 12 ranking right now. Boston College just came off of a great win against Syracuse last week.
Yeah, they did.
And almost all of it was on the ground.
Yeah.
And I just think this late into the season, if you can get that running game going, teams get tired a lot faster. You're worn out. You've been going 9-10 weeks.
Those teams
of football
are
out
a little
here.
beat up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if Boston College can get their run game moving, they can beat SMU.
Wow. Next.
Utah at Colorado. This is
Okay.
also going to be probably top 15 looking Colorado team, which is impressive. But I think Utah has to be livid first off after that BYU loss, and still fighting for bowl eligibility, right? Same for Boston College. Both of these teams are going to have something to play for because you're coming here at the end of the season. Only like 3 weeks left of regular season football. If you're 4-5 like Utah, you only have a couple more chances here.
Yeah.
So if you don't win this one, you have to win your next two. I think Utah beats Colorado.
All right. That's the predictions. That's what we're expecting from Week 12. Thanks for joining us.
Go Broncos.